This week we're going to develop your database by adding in a form. Before we get on to forms in our database, we will have our knowledge recall. We will look to answer the following questions in your ePortfolio. So you need to answer what is a query. You also need to answer what is validation. And then what is it called when you save a file so that it can be used in a different format. So what word is that? That needs to be added to your ePortfolio. And thinking back to the start of the year when we did web design, what do you call the diagram of the structure and design of a website? So the layout of where all the different pages will be in a website, what is that called? So you can pause the video and answer those 4 knowledge recall questions. Hopefully you had that a query was a question in a database. Validation is when only certain answers are allowed to be given. When we prepare a file and save it so it can be used in a different format, that is known as export. And a web page layout diagram of where all the web pages are, how you get to them, is known as a sitemap. So as I said, we're going to be looking at database forms today. A form is a nice way to show our information in a database table. A form is also a way to input data into a database table. So what you enter into a form will appear in your table. You need to think about it like filling in a form online. When you fill in the information, that information gets saved somewhere else, gets saved into a table. So it's the form that we're going to create today for our database. This is what a form is going to look like for our superheroes database. And we can see on the right hand side, this is a design view with the grid lines and squares. This is telling us that it's in design view so that we can work on it and edit it and change the look. Whereas the view on the left here is in the form view. So we can actually see what the form looks like. So this is like when we did queries, we can go between the query view and the form view, and same when with our table, we can go to design view of the table and the actual table. So we need to get used to using that button, this design button in the top left corner, to move from one version to the other. So when you open up your database, you'll probably find that you've got nothing in your database here and you think you might have lost your work. All your work is saved here. Here's the tables and these are the queries we did last week. So I can open up the table and my table will appear. I can right click on this and close my table. My database is still saved here. And we're going to create a form today. I've got clicked on this table at the same time, makes it easier when I'm creating my form. And what we're looking to do is create a form. So create and then form. So I can click that, create, and this button here, just like the example, is form. So when I create that, it's actually made my form for me. I've not had to do any design work so far. It's just put all the field names from my table into a form. And that's exactly what I want it to do. It's created that form. The next slide looks at adding in a header. So this is a title to our form. So what we can do now is just change the table name here to a form header, and that's what I'm going to show you how to do here. So we can drag this information here, but we need to be in the design view. Look at the grids here, grid lines. So that's telling me I need to be in the design view. So I can go to my view, the drop down box, and go to design view. Now I've got the grids and I can just drag down this space a little bit to give my header a bit more space. And again, I can select my title and I can just make it bold. I can change the size of that writing just to make it stand out. And I can readjust, if I click on this box, just readjust this box a little bit and change the title and the information. I can change the colours and so on. So I've now got superheroes as my title. So that's good so far. I can make my title bold, larger. I can use any of my design tools in the ribbon. When I select the text, I must select text first. I can center it, underline it, change the color. Anything that I want to do to the format, I can change there. Now the next stage is to add an image into our title. So I'm just going to hide my field list. I don't need to see that at the moment. And I can just extend this a little bit to the right, give myself a little bit of space just in my table there. Now, when I'm inserting an image, I need to save an image first. I do need to save that image. And I've found a nice image that I'm going to use from Wikipedia. I like to use Wikipedia when looking for images because most of the images on Wikipedia are copyright free. And if I just scroll down here, I can see that the information is Creative Commons. The CC means it is allowed to be used, and permission is given here for the image to be used. This image is created by somebody called Mitch Hallock. So I'm referencing him here. I'm explaining that this is the person who's created it. It's not my own drawing, but it is free to use by anyone for any purpose here. So that's fine. That's the image I'm going to use. And I've already saved that. So in my design view, I've clicked on design and I've clicked in the header area, and I can just click insert image. And I can browse for an image in my document. I've already browsed for this one, so it's ready to be put in. And all I then need to do is just drag a box where I wish my image to go. As simple as that. I can move it around, have my image where I want it to be. So that's how we insert an image into our form. Let's just have a look at the form view. I can change the view to the form view, and I can see that my image is on my form. So that's the stage we've got to so far. You can make your image bigger to fill the space that you need. The next stage after this is looking to change the background color of our form. And that's really easy to do. Again, if we go into design view, so notice the grid lines, we need to have that on our work. So I'm just changing the view to design view. And all I need to do is right click on my form itself. I can right click and fill back color, and I can choose any color that I want for my form. I'm just going for a blue color here. I can put my title area the same sort of color. So that's now done. Just remember that I'll need to change the color of the writing to stand out against the background. So I'm looking for a contrasting color that is going to work there. I'm just going to go for a white would work quite well against the blue. And I'll need to do the same for my boxes and make those the color that I want them. So fill back color, I can just make those the yellow, click out of them, and so on. I can change them all the same color, change the writing to how I want it, and that's up to you, the style that you want your database to be, your form to be. Again, I'm just going to change the view to have a look to see what it's looking like, so it's looking more professional all the time. I'm happy with that. So that was changing the background color for my form. And then we can resize parts of our form if we want a little bit more space. Again, we still do that in the design view. We can do all our changes in design view. I can just click on one of the forms and just move it about a little bit. I might want a little bit more space when I'm talking about the type of superpower. I can make that bit bigger and so on, just resizing these bits as I wish them to be. So that's completely up to you what you resize and where you move the bits to. So next stage is looking at after we've resized. If you do make any mistakes, a little handy hint here, you can always go back, edit, undo, just to go back a stage, and then you can sort things out. So that's absolutely fine. We've now got our completed form in design view, and we need to save that. It's really important we save our form. So looking here, I've got my tables, I've got my queries, but I haven't got any forms. So I can just click save, and it'll ask me what I want to save this as. So I'm just going to call mine Superheroes Form and click OK, and it should section off a bit here called Forms, and there's my Superheroes Form. Just change the view again. Now there's one other thing I was going to show you here. When we're looking at our form, I'll just make it a little bit bigger so we can see what's going on. Down at the bottom of my form, I've got some buttons to navigate through my record. So the forward arrow, I can go to my second item in my database and it's found Superwoman. Go forward to number 3 and it's found Incredible Hulk and all the information for Incredible Hulk. So these are our navigation buttons down the bottom here. The one with a star goes to a blank form where I can add a new form in. So that's what it just goes to the blank form. We've got last record and first record. If I want to go back to the first record, I can. Now, I do find using these buttons at the bottom quite difficult, being so small. So what I tend to do in my database is I'll go into Design View and I can click on Design, and then this button here, which is a button, I can then just drag a button where I wish a button to be. So I've dragged a button there, whatever size I want it to be. And I've got lots of options here. So I can go record navigation and I can just go to next record and click next. And it'll ask me, do I want writing in there? I can put my own writing, or I can have a picture and go to next record. I'm just going to leave it as that and press next and then finish. So I've now got a button I can resize for my next record. I can move that where I want it to be. I can add another button back in here. I'll do that again. Add a button. Just drag a box where I want my button to be. This time I want my record to be to go to previous record. So I want it to go back one. Click next. With the go to previous image, click next and finish. So again, I can just resize that a little bit and tidy that up if I had a little bit more time. Change my view. And now I can scroll through my records using the buttons that I've created, which are easier to use than the buttons at the bottom here. I can add other buttons in here, and once you've completed all this, and if you do have some spare time, if you've got through this work quickly, you can have a look to see what other buttons you can create for your work. There's some really useful ones in there. Really useful buttons. So you can save, and I'll just save my form as I've gone along, so that's now saved. And showing you how to navigate, to get through the records, to look through, but you can create your own buttons to navigate. And once you've done that, you can go to the new record and you can add a new superhero into your database. So you need to show evidence of your form, both in the form design and your actual form in your ePortfolio. And if you can explain what you've done to get it to that stage and explain what the buttons do, that will be really useful. So do save your work in your ePortfolio and explain what you have produced.